everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your Art Sherpa, and today we are in part 3 of a multi-part live class where we're painting a bluebonnet forest a little more realistically and a little more detailed than we do. And so we're breaking this down into classes, into smaller parts, because you can take on a big project if you break it down into smaller parts. But sometimes if you try to do everything all at once, it becomes so overwhelming that you almost don't begin. And what we really want is to help beginners learn how to paint. So that's what this series is about. And oh my gosh, has it been super successful. To help me do this is my husband, John.
Hello.
He is going to be the disembodied voice that you hear. He's been here for 10 years with me. Watching paint dry, helping me make these lessons. And what he does is he makes sure the camera's pointing at what I'm talking about, that you can see the palette, you can see everything that I'm demonstrating, see the tools that I'm using, talks in the live chat, and really just makes this whole system go. Now, today we are foraging on in our forest. We're going to be putting in some more details. We're going to start filling in the trees. We're going to start seeing the trees for the forest, you know, getting them all a little more leafed up, a little more greened up, a little more color on the floor. And we're going to go for about an hour, maybe a little more, depending on how I'm feeling. And if we need a fourth class, we'll throw one out there, because what we're not doing is putting a lot of pressure on ourselves in our art practice. And the reason that we're not doing that is that I think play is the key to succeeding at art. And when you start to make art too goal-oriented and too success-oriented and too perfection-focused, not that it's not perfectly okay to be perfectionist. Let's be honest, the world goes around because you guys alphabetized it and we all love you. But in your art, you don't want to do that negative side of perfectionism where you let it become the enemy of a good time. And we all know where that line is for each of us, even though that might be a different individual line. And so by breaking these classes down into smaller, more groove-tastic parts, we're going to keep the play going so we get to the end of the painting. And that's when you guys get to see all your hard work come to fruition. So that is the mission of this multi-part class. We're going to go over the materials again because I got creative in the middle of the week and I used up the paint I had put out last time. To do that, somebody had suggested I paint a dragon, so I did some experimental dragon painting, and that ended up using up my palette, so I've reset it. Now, Patty Hoffman, it's kitty treat money from Chiquita and Butters. I really want to thank you, that Chiquita and Butters, thank you so much. Inoki and Vigo appreciate it so much, and if you didn't know, this would be an unofficial kind of announcement that we might have kitties now, and one of them is named Vigo the First Destroyer and the other is Inoki. So, and they're wonderful Maine Coon cats, and Chiquita and Butters are their friends from far away but close to heart. Okay, so that's context that makes almost no sense.
That's context for materials.
Context for materials. We teach art here. You don't have to hear all about my pets. We teach art here.
But Vigo.
Okay, so we'll have to show you pictures soon. I'm working on a 9x12 surface. This is an alt alternative canvas in the classic cotton series. I really like this series. I have the colors Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Quinacridone Magenta, and in the paint line that I like to paint in, and I sometimes forget to tell you guys, they call this one Fuchsia Quinacridone or Quinacridone Fuchsia number 671. So if you're painting the acrylic or deep magenta, if you're painting in the abstract line. Cad Red Medium, great place to save money is just boom, just get hue, because that's going to be like $20 less. Cad Yellow Medium, boom, same money saving tip. It is great when you do hue and it's $20 less, or feels like it's $20 less. I don't even know anymore with inflation. It's just every time I go into the store, I'm like, what prices are they today? Let's find out. I've got Yellow Ochre, Dioxazine Purple, Mars Black, Phthalo Green, and Burnt Sienna. And again, I know the purple and the black look similar. And Heather C., thank you so much and congratulations for being a member for 40 months and the sticker, and greetings from my cats, Alex and Pip. Hi, Alex and Pip. You will have to come see Vigo and Inoki when we get them up their pages and things, because they are some really funny cats.
You know what? At the end, maybe I'll throw up a picture. We'll see here.
We
Maybe,
might have a picture.
I mean, like I have one right here. I could, but we're gonna wait until the end.
We're going to wait till the end.
Yeah,
If you want to see, we'll show you at the end. Right now, we'll teach you how to paint. So in the middle, I have titanium white. That's what's right here. And then this gloopy milky bit is satin glazing liquid by Golden. It's a slow drying extender for acrylic colors. And no matter what you're painting with, I do recommend this product. It slows down the drying time of your paint, allows you to go. I'm painting on a weapons and see where we're going to jump back in. I think maybe
I think it's 11.
It's 11. Let's get into some light.
11th.
11th. Let's get into some light purple. I'm going to grab my angle brush again. I'm going to grab my little 1/2 inch angle here. This is the Princeton Catalyst 1/2 inch angle. I'm going to put on some glasses so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to just kind of lightly put in a slightly lighter purple on the forest floor so we can begin to do our dappled light. Now this is interesting. To get the purple, I'm not going to go right over to the docks. I'm going to take a little bit of my glazing liquid, my ultramarine, and my quinacridone together with a little bit of titanium white.
Could you hold on? I think we have cats playing with cables, so this is one of those things where it's gonna buffer.
Oh,
and then
hey
it's gonna
Mary
fix.
Myers! I see Mary Myers. I hope you're gonna see this in the buffering after. Hello, John, from my snoring dog Ansley and I. Mary, thank Ansley so much.
Yeah. You just give us just like, you know what? This happens sometimes at the beginning of these where it gets crazy buffery and then all of a sudden it resets and everything goes back to normal. And I don't know what it is, but we're going to give it.
It won't be in the replay.
No, it generally is not in the replay. So
that's the nice thing about it is YouTube has finally fixed it where it's not so much in the replay. Are we unbuffered yet?
No, we're waiting for it to try to reconnect.
All right, I'm going to rinse out my brush so I can remix.
Rinse out your brush, and you'll remix that. We'll go back to it.
Ooh, how long are we going to be here, do you think?
Here's the thing, is I think about a minute.
About a minute?
Yeah, it's generally about
a minute. We're waiting for a minute for the tech to work. And that is how it is with the live show since the beginning of live shows on YouTube. You got to wait for the tech to work. Because sometimes it doesn't. And I don't have a singing show for this reason.
You can keep singing because it's like, singing the show. It's like, we're waiting for
singing the show.
Hold on a second.
I'm singing my show. I do this at home. I don't know if you do this. I get in the kitchen. I'm like, doing the dishes so my kids will remember.
Okay, this is the part. So now it's going to start getting the singing part because it's debuffering.
It's debuffering.
So now I know the cache is emptying.
Debuffering.
I'm not sure how much
the cache
of the songing.
It's entering, and now something will work, but I don't know what any of these words mean. I'm going to thank Zoe Moonigan for the wonderful little emoji that's calling me noob, I think, but that's okay because I don't mind being new, and that's all right because I'm new to something every day. And Patty Hoffman saying mango fish food. Actually, I like it because I like a little dancing froggy frog. I like a dancing froggy frog. We're gonna say it's Hypnotoad again.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is, because it seems to have fixed itself.
It seems to have fixed itself. We'll just start over.
We're gonna go back to step 11.
Step 11. Okay, let's start again. Because that'll happen sometimes. All right, I took a little bit of my glazing liquid. I got ultramarine blue and quinacridone magenta, and I started to mix these together to make our purple for the forest floor. So I'll do that again. And then we'll add a little bit of white to that. So adding a little bit of white. And everywhere that we've got yellow, we're just going to come through and just real quick paint this with this lighter purple. Now, there's going to be more little bits of paint here and there, and we may be more playful but we're just putting this in and filling in.
Man, I'm sorry about that weird buffer.
The weird buffering.
But you got a sing break first from singing.
You got singing break. I do that actually. I sing my chores and things, like the whistle while you work thing apparently took real hard with me.
I have to sing.
I would have very much liked Poppins to be in my house. Not the book version. No. The Disney version. The book version, though, I did read is quite literally a masterwork. I totally get why You want to make that. I'm just making sure that everything is purple. And we can kind of come around here and be like, oh, there's a little purple. So you can see that we're letting the forest, the light come through all of these structures, and they create this banding on the forest floor. And that's how you do that. That is how you do when the banding light is through. There we go. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody. Bree Snyder says, Cinnamon John, I adore you both. Love seeing you come back to yourself, Cinnamon. And Ramona Razy says, hello from my dog Shadow, who's also snoring next to me. Hello, Shadow. Oh my gosh, it's become a pet shout out club. I love it. I'm going to have to catch you up on all of our journeys.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Considering how much they eat, they're Maine Coons. Considering how much they eat, thank you so much. Oh my goodness, these cats can put it back. They put it back like they're tiny lions.
They are tiny lions.
Tiny lions. Very, very, very small lions.
But they're so good-natured.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Nice lions. Not that all lions aren't nice to at least each other. Maybe not to Gazelle, but, you know, to each other a little bit. I'm just bringing that forward some. Painting that in here. Sometimes blocking in is a very busy business. And that's what we're doing. That's what it's called, is blocking in. We're just taking the underpainting of everything and blocking in this color so that when we come in and start to add our detail, the architecture of the painting holds the detail well. We might allow some of this like lighter purple to sort of flow through here a little bit as well, because some of this light will come through here as well. Oh, wow, look at that. So a little bit of that purple. That's a nice step. I like that very, 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 very much. We'll put that aside. Look at my references. Now, again, we use the reference to have a sense of things, but we're not using it to have it take over our whole painting. And I think I'm going to use let's use a Deerfoot stippler. The Deerfoot stippler. And I'm going to come back to some of my distant trees. I'm going to make a little bit of my phthalo green and burnt sienna, glazing medium, just to improve the flow. And let's come up here in this cluster, and we're just going to tap out some little distant leaves. If you don't have a Deerfoot stippler, I'm going to show you a second way, but that's what this is. This is a Princeton Select Deerfoot 3/8 inch. I have some short videos on this wonderful brush. It just does a nice job of giving us some leaves. I'm going to just put some leaves up here. Burnt sienna and ultramarine blue. Just some dark little leaves at the top. Maybe through there. Just saying, hey, these little guys in the background, they got some leaves going on. Leaves going on in the forest. Maybe some low leaves coming across here from the upper right towards the left. Just a little bit of leaf right there. Just places that we want to add some leaves. Now we might have to put some of our trees back and improve our layering, but we're just trying to say that these distant trees are alive. They have an active root system that's delivering nutrients to them, and they're healthy and okay. These trees are healthy and okay. I might come here to my dark little bush that I painted low and add some of this green to my little shadow of the bush, because why wouldn't it have that? And maybe let's come here through these trees, through this tree and this tree. and add some of that. Oh, I love the chat. And Heather C would like to know if the kittens will get emojis. They will get emojis. They will absolutely get emojis. Those ones I will probably have to hand draw to be real. Listen, if you've never seen this, all we're trying to do, and let's show you a couple things so you're not frustrated in this 1264 Fabriano pad, right? And I'm going to open it to a page I haven't. This is a Degas drawing that we're working on for the Zoom class with our patrons and our oil pastel. We're going to come over another page. All right, our own fresh page. So if you'll notice, this brush is kind of a hot mess, and that lets me make these little stippling marks, which creates the impression of a loose bit of leaves. Now, if I didn't have this brush, what I could do is I could modify a brush by opening it.
It started to buffer there just for a second.
All right. So this is a round brush. This is a Raphael brush, and this is Diatni. And we're going to get it wet. It's made with hog bristles. We're going to dry it off with our towel. And I'm going to do something called opening the brush. I'm going to, instead of trying to put it at a point, I'm going to floof it. See how I'm floofing it?
I do.
And I'll come into here and load up and then work on its floofination again. Floofing. And it's not an exact copy of what the Deerfoot does, but it's not too bad, is it?
No, not at all.
So when you see someone use a tool like a Deerfoot stippler, and hey, I do recommend the Deerfoot stippler, don't feel like, oh man, I gotta go buy another brush now. No, you can buy another brush now. You're allowed to buy another brush, but you're certainly welcome to take a brush that you have in Nugget, technical Sherpa term, into what it is. I am a happy little Hypnotoad. Hypnotoad makes me, if you don't know what Hypnotoad is, it's from Futurama, a very funny cartoon. And I'm very fond of it. I'm also very fond of Pac-Man frogs and the little fairy brown little frogs. They're very cute. I watch videos of them being adorable where I can. So you can see that's all I'm doing to create these little kind of tree-like structures. And here I'll continue on with my round brush. That way you can see that both brushes are just equally possible to use.
Yep. And
right?
Sorry about the little bit of buffering there. It should all be back to normal now, it appears.
Okay, so I just make the brush up and I open it up. It does get a little more paint on my hands.
Which brushes are you using there? Just make sure.
This is the number 6 Raphael d'Artigny round, and I'm modifying it. So I use the Deerfoot stippler, but I'm showing you guys another brush. I started out with a Deerfoot stippler to get the stroke, and this is probably the easiest one to use. But I'm trying to show you guys that, hey, you don't have to have just one brush. Now I can come into my yellow and add a lot of yellow. A lot of yellow. And here on these outer edges of the leaves, I can make some yellow leaves. And I can even paint some very yellow leaves through here. So what I've done is I've taken the burnt sienna and the phthalo green and added a lot of cad yellow. And I've opened the brush so that it's floofy. And I'm just using it to make a stippling stroke to create the sense of maybe some leaves that could be back here. Some distant little leaves in my distant little trees. It's not solid. I'm just doing some. Maybe adding a little bit right here. Just to talk about it a little. This is just in the distance. You know, it doesn't have to be everything we ever thought about. Just be the beginning of something. Maybe add some through here. Playing along. Cher Brown says, so happy you're here. Oh, talking to Bree Snyder, who's saying, you're so happy you're here. Oh, I love it when you guys are like, I'm so happy to see you too. It's so great when you guys can make those connections and make those friendships. That's 100% of why we started the Zoom classes, you know, is because it allowed you guys to hang out with each other and maintain those friendships and those connections that you guys are building in the live course that we have over here on YouTube. It's just a special time to see your friends. Like Romper Room, but with art. Slightly older reference. We say Mr. Rogers because it's just so lovely to be your neighbor. Good to be your neighbor. Won't you be my neighbor? Been a minute since we felt that way about some of our neighbors. I'll add some down leaves, trees down here. Just thinking about where they could be. Just putting them a few places can be nice. Just putting them a few places can be nice. Oh, that's looking good. A little bit of distant thought. We don't have to have every leaf. Just some leaves to say, hey, I feel like there's some leaves back here. And they're in these distant trees. Darcy Clay says, me sneaking in all quiet so as not to disturb anyone. Hi. Hi, Darcy. It's good to see you too. All right. And Deborah Evans saying thank you. I so appreciate these super chats and the stickers and everything. And I never want you, like if ever a sticker ends up weird or strange or whatever, unexpected, I want you to know that I always just assume the best in the place coming from love. I just want you to know that. So that's how I'm always going to take it in my heart. So never worry about what sticker you throw up or anything, because I'm always going to take it like it's coming with love, from love, and that is just how I default. That's my default setting. All right, let's put up a new step. Okay, I think I'm going to want to come in and get into my quinacridone and my purple with my ultramarine blue. Pretty dark. And kind of see how it looks down here in the shadow. I may want to switch over to my Deerfoot Stippler. Just for ease of work. But now that you know you can use a different brush, you know not to be worried about it, right? You could also use a fan brush, right? If you don't know what those are, this is a fan brush. And it's already sort of a brush that's opened up, right? Mm-hmm. You could come here and make pretty quick work of a stippling up and down technique. Pretty quick work. So other brushes you can use. Never feel like you're just stuck. If I use a brush, usually it's because I'm just using a brush that would work well in that moment, right? Because I can go from the heel of the brush all the way to the toe, and it will let me get like little areas like that. So it just allows me a little leeway. Add a little white in there, but it's still pretty dark, and I come in and just stippling some little flowers on the forest floor. Sometimes they can have a little more magenta in them. Sometimes they might have a little more blue. I have a little more white here, and it just creates a slightly different value, even though it's all quite dark. And we painted a fabulous underpainting, right? So now we can plant all these flowers and feel pretty good about it with our Deerfoot stippler. Just the beginning. Doesn't mean we won't come through and add a bunch of little detail. We're just talking about the beginnings of the purples of the flowers that we have. Beginnings of the purples of the flowers that we have. Maybe a little more blue. Right here on the far side of our big, big tree. We're just seeing how it's going to look today. It's looking pretty good. Come here over our dark, dark path. And we know these flowers sort of come up a bit into the path. So it's not an even line. It's not a manicured path. It's a walked path, which means the lines along it will be ragged and uneven. Little blue into it for some more purple. So if you have more magenta, then it'll be slightly warmer and more magenta. And if you have more blue, it'll be slightly cooler and more blue. And that's how we can kind of work both colors through fairly quickly. Now, sometimes I want to get a little more paint on my brush. And maybe these shadow flowers are growing up over the little light flowers here a little bit. Well, that looks a little more foresty floor. Right. Oh, too much white, but that's okay. We'll just come in until we find our light purple we're looking for. We'll be like this. This is not the purple you are looking for. Until this is the purple you are looking for. I just want to thank everybody so much for being here today and taking part of these multi-part classes. We really appreciate you. Notice the load of my brush is pretty light. Now I might be a little more particular. You'll notice that I roll this brush a bit. But really what I'm doing is just making sure that I have uneven. And notice that some of the green is coming through. We're just filling it out a little more. Maybe a little more blue in some places. Like down here, it's maybe got a little more blue or it's got a little more magenta. Depending on the shadow it's in or the highlight that it has. Now you can always come back and paint some green in, right? You're not stuck with any of this. A little more magenta and a little more white. We're seeing if our technique plays out. It does. I'll tap that along the tops of some of these slightly darker and bluer colors, and that creates maybe the tops of little flowers. A little bit of our blues together.
Yeah.
A little bit of our quinacridone. So this might be just a little bit darker than the one next to it. We might paint it a little bit heavier down here. Come back into our dark purple with our slightly lighter version of a dark purple. And we haven't even done our zhuzh phthalo blue pop. And we're just making sure that there's some structure. That our shadow is more than just a dark bloop. All right. Let's rinse out and take a look at what we've got so far and see how we feel as we're going.
You think you're ready for the next step then?
No, let's take a minute and let's take a look. Let's take a look and take a minute. It's okay to take in your painting. I usually just power through like a machine.
You do.
But I'm learning that I've got to take a breath, take a minute, take a look, and realize where we're going and how it's going, so that I don't lose myself in the forest and the trees, because it would be really easy to do on a highly complex painting like this, because this is complex. It's why you don't see a lot of it. Nicole Gerwitz says, I hope you keep the style of tutorials going into the future, as they are fab. In fact, it is my plan, and I'll tell you what the decision, how I came to that decision to bring these lessons forward, is that I see more people going for the whole project, and people who'd been on the fence to try a project giving these a go because they were giving them more confidence. So it really doesn't matter how the YouTube algorithm feels about these at all. I'm going to keep doing these multi-parters where we take projects and we break them down into smaller bits and paint them, because I think it's so much more important that we have fun and we paint together than we make. And I hope the YouTube algorithm will be happy with some other paintings that I do, right? That's where it like decides, oh, this one did well, and serves it out to the YouTube community at large. But more than that, I want to make sure that people who are painting with me week to week are having a great time, and you guys are having a great time, and that's your feedback. So that was the decider of these lessons continuing on in the way that they're going to continue on. That's what made me decide, oh yes, we will definitely keep going. Because I think that they do make a difference for how we're feeling. Now I'm ready to go on.
Now you're ready.
Now I'm ready to go on. I'm taking in the whole forest for the trees, and I've got to bring another little dark purple coming in. Now I might take a little bit of my Doc's purple and over to my quinacridone, or back and forth, right? And get kind of a more magenta purple. A little white, not too much white, but a little white. So this is going to be shadow, but it's going to be a bright, vibrant color we can really see. Just stippling this in. And then I might pinch the brush a little bit to narrow it.
Let me look over your shoulder there and see that. Oh yeah. You just pinch it just a little bit.
Pinch the brush just a little bit. Just to see the interesting shape. Because we really want these to feel like a very solid carpet of bluebells. I might come through here some. And as I'm coming closer to the tree, I'll get into the brush and maybe pinch it to control it. Just thinking about it.
That's nice.
Just jumping around looking for spots that I can start to expand out our flower texture. I might bring that back. I kind of overpainted my little path here a bit, but I'll just work that in. I can always bring a little of my black and brown involved. Just kind of pull that through there with my angle brush. If I get a little overexcited with my blue bonnets, which will be known to happen.
That does. It happens.
Pinch the brush. Just starting to fill that in. You know, and it's okay to let some purple get in there because we're going to come back and put in some light. So it's all right to have a little overlap because these aren't rows, right? They're little beams of light. So sometimes I'll come in to blend. You know how it's important to blend in makeup? We're blending in the painting, making sure our light is blended as it needs to be. Coming over here, filling in. It would be tempted to get into this technique so early in the painting. And it would be very easy to get lost if you weren't familiar with it. So this lets us really lay out our plan.
Yeah.
And then we can come back and really make sure our plan was good.
Yeah, I get it.
It's doing pretty well.
So a stenciling brush could be used in place of the stippler there?
If you had a good controlling stenciling brush, I think you could probably get away with it. I think you could use a filbert grainer. I think you could use a D brush pretty easily. I think you just really want a brush you can open up and create irregular stippled strokes with, where they're giving you good stippled strokes. Now I might come over here into my lighter color again. like you do, and get some nice glazing medium and some flow on here and start to fill in. Maybe some of these lighter areas. Maybe a little white over to my docks.
Yeah.
And lighten a little bit of my shadow with some highlights in the flowers. So it's dark, but it's a little blended. Making a little lighter color there and maybe stippling that up. The other thing is that I can put in a color, come back and remember, oh, well, I've got to add a shadow to that tree. So we know how our shadows go now. And in our underpainting, we have those. So if we want to come over into our purple, we go into our purple and be like, get a little bit of our lighter color that we were mixing over here, maybe a lot more blue into it. I can roll my brush and use the toe. If I need to, I can come closer to the little tree too. And blend that out a little bit. Just dancing around, finding those lights and darks. Starting to paint those in just a little more. I'm going to rinse that off. I'm going to get a little bit of my ultramarine blue and my quin together and a little bit of my glazing liquid. And I'm going to make sure that all of my forest has a little bit more purple in it.
The purple.
A little more purple.
Purple.
I'm not seeing the yellow peeking through anymore. So I'm just adding a lot more glazing liquid to this.
Now, all of this layering of color serves a purpose and makes a much more complex color underneath it.
It does, and it gives us a roadmap so we don't get lost in what is the painting.
And when you're painting along at home, oftentimes you'll find that the color and the richness in the surface you get, it just isn't captured on camera quite as well. And so oftentimes you're going to be like, wow, it's so impressive to do the layering and layering and layering of colors. And it really does serve a purpose because, you know, we're in a static light environment. There's not movement to be able to see the specularity and color depth. It's just not there. It's not like seeing a painting in person. It's not the same. So,
well, there's a lot of ways to do a painting.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of ways to get a painting in. So I'm using the glazing medium, so what shows through. Might come in through here. I want, you know, what is purple to be purple. But we also want some green and things to pop in. And to show through for ourselves. Adding a little more of my magenta here, a little more complexity, a little more dimensionality as we layer up. And we haven't done the very important work of really solidifying and anchoring our trees, right? We're just really at this stage trying to make sure that we've got an underpainting that gets us to the finished work. Because a lot of times in a painting, I'm going to do another step in a little bit. A lot of times in a painting, the painting comes together in its last 30%. You do a lot of work up at the beginning, and then you pull the painting together in its last 30%. And that's what we're trying to do, is get that painting where the last 30% will flow in beautifully. And we're going to go on. We're going to do another step. We're going to work on our trees a little bit.
Do one more step? Maybe 2 more steps? Maybe 5 more steps? You don't know. But at least one more step.
At least one more step.
All right. Next step is 14.
14. Right? We just paint this until it's done. Until we're happy. All right. Now I'm going to take a little bit of my black and my brown together.
The black and the brown together.
And glazing liquid so that it flows nicely. I'm going to paint in my main focal tree. It's going to be in a much stronger silhouette because it's closer to us and it's deeper in the shade of the forest. So it's important to it that we get this quite rich and quite dark.
It's deeper in the shade of the forest.
Mm-hmm. And we have a few trees that we really want in this richer shade. Come here. So you can see that pulls those trees more into the foreground. Making that tree closer to us. More in a stark comparison of shading.
Oh. I'm having my brain is filling up with puns.
Pun away, sir. Pun away.
They're not pun related. They're for other projects.
No.
So now I'm just it's because you're sitting here thinking about like, oh yeah, well, we got this new soap that's coming up, and we got a little crowdfunder that's coming up, and we might be able to combine the two and have a clean start.
I'm so glad soap is finally coming together. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
I know. And you know what though? It's worth it because it comes with a partner that makes it here in the US, and it's like it's free of all the things. It's it's animal friendly, it's vegan friendly, it's like got no oils, it's no GMOs.
Well, it has oils.
Oh yeah, but not bad oils. Like
Petroleums.
Yeah.
It has essential oils.
Yeah, it has essential oils, but it doesn't have any of the bad stuff. It's like it's a traditional.
I mean, don't eat it.
Awesome
It's soap.
Yeah, but it's super awesome, and it cleans. It smells so good, and we also might get other products.
Yeah, there has been noise of other products.
Because it smells so good.
Look at that. Now, let's look at this overhead. So you can see that those trees start to become part of, what's happening in our world.
It's in our world.
A whole new world. So sometimes it's hard to paint a bunch of different browns in your trees, but by coming through and painting them this way, you end up having a lot of different values.
Yeah, you can revalue the trees.
You can revalue the trees and just evaluate their value as you wish.
If it would purple and brown work for this step, if that's what you had?
Yes.
You could just purple and brown.
If you have dioxazine purple and brown, it's going to be a chromatic black. And what chromatic black means is there's not black pigment in it, but as far as your eye is concerned, it's going to be black. All right. Now let's go ahead and throw up another step.
All right. This step is brought to you by our patrons who are having a Zoom tomorrow. So if you're a patron at the Zoom level on our patron page,
I didn't know if I was going to give them another day because sometimes we do an off day from Sunday so other people can show up. But we're having a Zoom this week.
Okay,
I just don't know if it's Monday or Wednesday or Sunday yet.
Okay.
Because I'm wanting to look. I'm taking burnt sienna and yellow ochre together. That's the only reason why I'm even saying anything.
I
we
didn't
might
know. You know. I'm a person of habit, and I was trying to.
Let's define our little paths.
The path is cool.
Well, the path is cool, isn't it? We want our path to feel like a little path coming around the corner.
Kind of emerging.
So I'm making short little brush strokes, and I'm really sort of exaggerating this part of the path. Bringing a little light out here, a little dirt up here into the green. Now I might add a little yellow and a little red. Just catching a little light. A little more yellow. Let's put some little dappled light down here into the ground, right? Because you want the path to like take the person who's walking maybe around the corner. You've got to lead them in. Now here, I'm going to, interestingly enough, I'm going to get a little bit of my ultramarine blue, quinacridone, maybe a little white so we can see that the purple of it. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to paint the tops of these flowers more in detail. See how we're creating this like layering? It helps put our path in perspective. Bringing this through. Making irregular shapes in here. So sometimes when you're very new to painting, you might really, really lean on just doing this whole piece with the Deerfoot stippler.
Yeah.
And what we're going to be doing is combining brushes and brushstroke techniques to fill in what is a complex and very busy forest floor.
You don't want to be the lone stippler.
Don't be the lone stippler. Don't be a lone stippler. I'm going to be honest. I used to like the Lone Ranger. I did.
That's okay.
And Zorro was crazy for some Zorro, some like old school Zorro.
Well, there were some, like, you know, if you had a black and white TV.
It was horses. They had horses. Like shows with horses.
I had a black and white TV, so I watched a lot of black and white shows.
I did too.
Just ended up that way.
So just adding these colors here. You know, I don't want it not to be purple. I definitely want it to be in the purple range. Mixing my ultramarine. It just becomes more complex as we paint.
Yeah.
Maybe put in a little more quinacridone here. A little more white. I'm going to come along here. Along this little path right to there. Sometimes up, sometimes down. And I might even bring in a little more light to the spot. It kind of fits with where my shadow is laying. Because if I don't like it, I just move it over. A little more white. A little more Quinn. Highlight along there. Along the edge. The tops of some of these flowers.
That was a kid sneaking through the room.
The sneakiest of children.
Yep.
Just pulling that up through there.
I assume that. I'm going to go make sure it's not a cat.
You know, you should. That sounds like it could also be the other thing. Coming here and adding a little bit more glazing medium. And coming down this area that's, you know, some light. A little more quinacridone. Look at that coming in. Aren't we doing good? All right. So checking in on everyone. Linda Brown says, I own more painting rags than washcloths. Me too. I use a lot of painting rags. And Deborah Evans says, purple is one of my favorite colors. And Star Wars Nanana says, Je trouve cela très joli. Merci beaucoup. Je n'ai pas parlé français. Je suis texan. But, you know, we give it a go where we can. Learn a few things. I did take French in school. And I did live in France. I'm pretty good at reading a menu, and I can get the mail in and out, and I can get to the bread fairly accurately. I shockingly can hear and understand a lot of the gossip, but I can't necessarily jump in and participate in it because my pronunciation is a little, my conjugation is a little bit. Texan.
I get that.
Yeah.
I just hammer through it like, you know, I have big ham fists and they laugh and go, oh,
No, John
you're so
picks
cute.
John picks up language real fast. I'm going to add a lot of light right here. We know we're going to come back through.
But in the comedic way that an American learns a foreign language and says, is it all brutally wrong and mostly out of order?
And then I will glaze back a little more shadow as needed.
And then, of course, you reverse all the wrong things.
Yeah, completely. I tell you, I can find an air to gear. Even though I say it with a Texan accent, I'm going to find it because what girl needs to go? What girl needs to go? Just adding this down here. So, you know, I might be like, oh, no, I need some shadow at that tree. I just come back in and grab a little Dox Purple. And make sure I have it. And just run a little sliver of light where I know I would have it, because I don't have to just have my reference tell me where my light goes. There's so much forest floor to paint. So much forest floor. I'm going to rinse out a little bit. We'll throw up another step because I've got a little more path to establish.
Oh, hold on just a second.
Are we out of steps?
No. I have to just go put that step there so I can do...
I just want us to be far enough along where we can kind of see where we're going to go. I'm going to take a little bit of my yellow and my cad red together, maybe even a bit of white. Exaggerate the curve. Of that path. Then I might come down into my green, which I made from earlier, which was the phthalo green and burnt sienna and a lot of cad yellow. I'm going to exaggerate some of the green that's coming up here. And maybe get a little more phthalo green into it.
You're gilding the path.
Well, I'm just defining it now a little more. I put in my base colors and now I'm playing with the areas that create the painting.
You're dancing in the light there.
We're dancing the light a little bit. Dancing on the ceiling, woo, woo. Yeah, we are. I'm going back into my my phthalo green and my burnt sienna.
Yep.
But I have some cad yellow in it so that over here I can make sure that I've got some nice darker green on the far side. And I think we did a lot today, and we have the good beginnings for what we're going to do next. Right now you're starting to see, oh, this is how we get the painting in.
Yes,
We get this roughness in, and then we come through with our little round brush, and we just make many, many, many little dots of paint. Yeah. Yes, many, many, many. I might even record some dots of paint because there's just so much dots of paint that we've got to do in here. And that's what we're going to be doing, is just playing with this light and playing with these dots and building out this forest until the bluebells just bloom for us across the carpet of the floor. And we notice this little path taking us in, And so I think that is one of the, Star Wars was like pretty good. Amy I like that. Amy's doing really well. Cinnamon, yay! And then Lulabelle would like to go to Japan. I'd like to go with you. Let me know when you're going. I would very much like to go to Japan. It is a dream. So big projects like this, they take time. And you've got to give yourself the hours and the time in a painting to create them, especially when they look like they're simple. And I mean, you could do this in a very simplistic thing where you just painted this very, very loosely and then did some loose light and stuff. But if we're just one of the things that we like to do is like those forests, like the autumn forest where we catch all the leaves and we catch all the feelings and we catch all the flowers. Well, to catch all those things, we really just got to get in here, observe them and paint them. And then when we're all done, we'll have a lovely little painting that we enjoy quite a lot. And we won't be as afraid to do this type of complex image in the future, because we'll just know, it's just time. That's what it is. It's just time in a lot of layers. It's not beyond you. It's not something you can't do. It's just a lot of time and layers. So you just got to have a little stamina for it.
Yeah.
And so I want you guys to be good to your what?
Whoa, hold
Oh, that's
your
right.
cats.
That's right. Oh, you cats, don't I? All right. I know. They're gorgeous.
The cats.
The dark one on the right is Vigo, the first destroyer. You can see appropriately named. And the lighter kitty on the left is Inoki. So
we have these. We
honestly should have probably reversed that because Inoki has turned out to be an agent of chaos.
It's true.
And they're very smart and very clever. There was something that John really wanted to do after I got out of the hospital. I'm very much a person who likes cats, and my sweet husband, who has some cat allergies, literally went everywhere and rubbed his face in cats to see exactly where they were and how much medication and how many life changes we would need to make if it was possible to even do. The whole family came in to help me do this. And so that's how I was able to do that. And thanks to the power of Allegra.
They're wonderful.
And a lot of really big helpfulness. So all the pets that came in to support the new pets, I really appreciate, and I hope you guys like the names, because I'm telling you. Oh, and Vincent Fingo.
Oh, that's right.
Is their favorite cat TV. They watch Vincent swim all over I've got so much video of them just watching Vincent. His lid is secured, very, very, very secured. And also he's much like many small creatures, is he believes he's the size of a whale and he could just take on anything. I've never seen such a confident fish in my life. This fish is like, Rock, are you starting something with me? Because I'll start something with you, Rock. And so
look at you, Rock.
He will actually look back at the cats and flare at them. Like, yeah, you think so? This is my tank. All that you see here is mine. And so it's very fun to see them go. Bluebell says, Bilbo has been amazing for my mental health. I'm going to say, excellent name. And Grace says, the light one is so like mine. And Jennifer says, oh, they're very pretty. And Amy's like, they're adorable. And she looks like, looking beautiful, Cinnamon. Thank you for showing us how. And Amy's like, I can see them watching Vincent. Oh, yeah, they do. They really watch Vincent. And they're agile. They require many play sessions in a day.
It's true, they do.
Many play sessions. Like, that's what I will be doing after this live, is get the feather wand out, because if you don't, they get the feets. It's feet or the play session.
Now that they've seen everybody.
Okay, so now you know.
That's just, we had
to show you guys. So thank you for the support of the Studio Kitties, because they do eat a lot more food. These are Maine Coons, and they eat more food than any cat I've ever had in my life. I had cats when I was young.
Yeah, they're kittens that are like almost full-size cats.
Yeah. They're wonderful, and they're so soft, and they have such good personalities. But they do they eat. I think a lot about, like, I got to think of these cats in terms of pounds of food per day. That they actually eat. I just want to say that, so like, if you're like on the fence and you're like, what's an honest opinion? I'm going to say really fantastic. They can destroy a litter box.
That's true.
They can destroy a litter box. So there's no, like, you're on the litter box every 2 seconds, and they eat a lot of food, but they are incredibly sweet and incredibly loving. And my very youngest, Luna Bella, is a huge fan of